All right, now I did it correctly.
It's about time. Opening this episode, Jonathan Segal talked with Paul Arriola today about Brandon Vasquez's growing USMNT candidacy. And he says that Brandon Vasquez 100% deserves a chance at the men's national team level. What do you think?
I don't know. That's a tough question.
All right, well, we'll get back. Think about it because we're going to get back to it. That's going to be the spoiler. That's question of the day for the end of the episode. But for season 3, episode 38, we are here talking All-Star Game snubs. By the time this goes out on Wednesday, it will be the day of the All-Star Game. So, of course, we have to give our takes just like last year on players who missed out, players that we're happy to see, and maybe players who might not deserve to be there, question mark. But before we do any of that, of course, Connor, what are you rocking for Scarf of the Week?
Well, only the scarf of the biggest All-Star snub of the season.
Tell me it's Chicago. Yeah,
Chicago Fire.
You're dang right. We all know that my boy Casper Shavilko should be there.
Oh no, I was thinking not Casper, but Wyatt Omsberg.
I am still in the middle of moving between Kentucky, Long Island, Alfred, New York. So before I left for what should be the final time, I grabbed 2 scarves off the racks. I didn't know if my new scarves, spoiler alert, we're gonna have new scarves hopefully soon. We're gonna be in. So the first one I grabbed was Celtic. Nice little Red Bull 2, if you would. Get it? We get all our players from Celtic.
I don't know if you get that many from Celtic.
We've got 3 in this window alone, and we're linked to like 2 others.
All right.
So, of course, we're here talking All-Star Game roster, snubs. Question to you before we dive into the roster. What do you think of the All-Star Game? Does it matter to you?
No. I mean, like it's good for the players to get the recognition they deserve, but no, it doesn't matter to me.
I gotta agree with you. You could have told me that this game happened 4 weeks ago. I would have believed you. It just, the only reason I know about it is I'm reading it right now saying that it kicks off at 8:30 in Minnesota. We love a good bit of Minnesota on this podcast.
You do.
we all do. We all love a good bit of Minnesota. Liga MX All-Stars versus MLS All-Stars, better or worse than a random European preseason game?
I think it's better. I think it's more competitive. I think it's more fun, but it's not going to attract as many eyes as like Real Madrid come into play here. But I think it's better.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, our midseason versus their preseason always gave that little bit of, oh, well, they're in preseason, so if we ever did get a win, it didn't matter. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I think it's more important to get guys time off, right? I think a lot of teams in the month of July and August played upwards of 9-10 games. So to get them a break and let them go a couple of days without having to put some miles on the legs, always good. Skills contest, I think, is a good addition, by the way. I mean, if I were to watch any part of the All-Star game, that'd probably be it. Just interesting, unique little games and whatnot. But the game itself doesn't really do much for me. I mean, again, and it might draw back to the way that it's promoted. I haven't seen much of anything promoting the game. I mean, not like MLB or NFL, right? But again, I don't think it's too big of a deal personally. Agreed. You want to go through the roster, or I'll read through the roster, and we'll talk about how they got there, and then we'll just give a quick overview maybe of what we think and go from there.
Sure.
Right. So we always like to start at the front because that's the way that it's laid out in the MLSsoccer.com website report. Paul Arriola voted in for FC Dallas, 18 matches, 8 goals, and 5 consecutive matches with at least 1 goal scored. Jesus Ferreira, his teammate from FC Dallas, also up there. 1 goal off the Golden Boot race, 11 goals and 4 assists so far in the campaign so far. Taxi Fountas from DC United, a coach's pick, literally walked in mid-April and just lit the league on fire. 9 goals, 3 assists in just 11 matches. Massive. He has 3 multi-goal games. Massive. Just a massive addition to DC United and somebody to build around for the future of Wayne Rooney. Chicharito from LA Galaxy, coach's pick. 2nd All-Star game selection. Fun stat here. No player in MLS has scored more goals in the opening 15 minutes of matches since the start of last season than Chicharito with 7. I love those types of stats, man. Nobody has scored more goals in the opening 15 minutes since the start of last season on a Thursday with the sun at exactly 47 degrees. Like, come on, make it any more specific, could you? Jordan Morris gets his first ever All-Star game call-up from a coach's pick after obviously leading the Sounders to a Champions League title. He's got 40 career goals for the Sounders, but has been kind of quiet. Likewise with Raul Ruidiaz, voted in for the Seattle Sounders. 2nd straight All-Star game. 55 goals, tied for 3rd most since 2018, but a relatively quiet year. Coaches pick Carlos Vela, 4th All-Star game after previously being named in 18, 19, and 21. 6 goals, 8 assists, and 17 appearances for a red-hot LAFC. Followed by our good buddy, Brandon Vasquez. He is a replacement for this Tatai Castellanos, some dude who left the league already. First All-Star game selection after 13 goals so far and 4 assists in 22 matches. Let's cut it up here. Let's talk about those forward. What do you think? Just from the forward list there, what do you see?
I see a bias for Seattle is what I see. Obviously Ruidiaz and Jordan Morris get in on name, but to say that they've been strongest in terms of making like an all-star team, I don't think that's the case for this season, especially with Seattle struggling so much this year. I mean, they're sitting in 9th right now. I mean, I know they won CONCACAF, but I think, that's separate from MLS. I don't think it should be considered in the MLS All-Star voting. Granted, it's a fan vote, so like you can't just be like, oh, just disregard this competition. Like that's just not going to happen. But I would personally want to replace those two. Taxi is a small sample size, but he's been great during it, so I don't really have a problem with that one. Both the Dallas guys completely deserve it. Chicharito is an interesting one. Chicharito, I think, is getting a little bit of a benefit of the name there, but he hasn't had like a bad season at all. I mean, he's got 9 goals, but I just think there's guys that are better than him right now.
I'm still looking here to try and find Raul Ruidiaz on who scored. I'm already 130 players in.
Yeah, well, that tells you all you need to
know. We'll talk more about ratings and things like that. But yeah, definitely not the year supreme for Mr. Ruidiaz.
And I think he's been like in and out of the lineup too. He's been
hurt. He's been hurt, right? Which obviously is
it's not a knock on him,
right? No, it's one of the reasons why he's having that issue, no doubt. But at the same time, you can't bring him in just because of his name and a title that he won, right? I mean, honestly, like I'm looking at names as I just kind of scroll through here. I'm like, wow, there are lots of people we could have picked over this guy. And you notice, right, when they were giving the stats on MLS website, they're talking about Chicharito with this random stat: Taxi Fountas 11 goals, Jesus Ferreira 11 goals, Paul Arriola 9 goals, and then they're like Jordan Morris scores 40 career goals for the Sounders. Raul Ruidiaz is in 55 over the last 3 years. Like they're not highlighting their great year, right?
Yeah.
Very, very interesting there. But if we move on to the midfielder, we go back to FCC. Our boys going straight to the moon with Luciano Acosta. First MLS All-Star selection between now and his time in DC. The first FCC pick in history, because we're going to the moon. We have to pick somebody, right? 16 goal contributions, tied for the league lead with 10 assists. Sebastian Druisi, an obvious one, leading, if maybe arguable, but leading the MVP.
Oh, for sure. That's not arguable right now.
It can't be, right? Coaches picked Luciano Acosta, Sebastian Druisi voted in. Carlos Hill voted in, 19 matches, 4 goals, which is the same from his MVP campaign last year. 60 key passes, and again, he's tied with Acosta for 10 assists. Coaches pick Hani Mukhtar, another obvious one, the lifeblood of the Nashville SC front attacking line. 26 goals and 17 assists in 50 matches over 2 seasons. Phenomenal attacker, first All-Star selection. Darlington Nagbe, 3-time MLS Cup winner, makes his second appearance and first since the 26th MLS All-Star game against Arsenal FC. Again, that's a tough one to give stats for. He's a different player. He's more of a game controller than a stat padder. So good to see there. Coaches pick as well. Coaches pick Emmanuel Reynoso, up the Loons, because we all love Loon, but leading Minnesota United with 7 goals and 5 assists, second All-Star game selection, and he's in front of his home fans. Very nice. Elise Sanchez from LAFC, one of the best transfers, I think, of all offseason. Finishes our midfielders here. Second All-Star game, but when you talk about the engine of the LAFC run to Supporter Shield, it's Elise Sanchez. Everything about what LAFC does runs through this guy, defensively breaking up the play, starting counterattacks, and then even having a few attacking contributions himself. So love that pick there. Glad that he gets the recognition he deserves, and he was voted in too, so the fans are recognizing it as well. Because you look at this 7 years ago, he's going to miss out for somebody like Frank Lampard. So strides of what we're doing, right? What do you think?
Before I jump into that, I forgot to also mention Vela, which I think is an interesting one. I kind of group him in the same way I did Chicharito. I think he gets in on name, and he's not having a bad season, but I don't think he's having a strong enough season that I would say he's getting into the All-Star game just on numbers.
Interesting.
Unless I'm just missing it, but
no, I feel like every time I see, again, he's now working off of Bale, and Aranjo is also losing his mind in that game, or in that team. I think he's at 10 goals right now, having himself another great year. So could be either or. So
he's on 7 goals, 8 assists right now.
Yeah, and I think Aranjo,
like I said, not bad. It really isn't bad. And I think Vela has set such high standards that it looks a lot worse than it actually is. But I just think that there are stronger guys that could get in over him. Namely one that I just completely didn't know about this year, Diego Rubio.
I was going to bring him up when we talk about snubs, but
oh, okay. I'll leave it more to the discussion for the snubs, but I did not realize he was having that good of a season.
That's because Colorado's so bad, right?
What are you talking about? They have Giassi Zardes. He just scored a hat trick.
Okay.
I mean, Dane gifted him 2 of them, but it doesn't matter.
Hey, man, listen, he's in the All-Star game right? He doesn't need to care.
All right, midfielders we're talking about.
Yep. Well, we just finished midfielders.
I don't overly have any issues with the midfielders here. I would say, had he continued his form, I would say Jordy would probably be in here. But I think the recent, ever since he got hurt, his form kind of took a step down. So I guess I'm not as upset about that. Yeah, I mean, I look at the list of midfielders and there's not really somebody that's jumping out to me as oh my God, how did this person get here? He'll I mean, let me look at his numbers. I mean, it's probably the similar to last year. It's probably just 3 goals and 10 assists or something.
That's pretty much right. That's 4 goals, 10 assists.
Yeah, which it's exactly like Vela. It's like he's getting in on the name and how he did last year, but his numbers aren't exactly the best to get into the All-Star game. Yeah, I like that Illy Sanchez is in there because I think that's like an under the radar one because you're not going to see him on the stat sheet. But from everything I've heard, he's had an awesome year this year. So super happy to see him there. Happy to see Lucci and Hani there. Reynoso as well. Nagby's obviously always going to be a great choice. And I don't know if I missed anybody else in midfield. I think that was everybody though.
The fact that Jonathan Osorio has 8 goals this year probably deserves some sort of recognition, but he's not getting in over anybody there.
Do you know how many are they all like penalties?
No, he ever since Insigne came in, he started running the show.
Yeah, good on Jonathan Osorio. Get him on the Mount Rushmore. I mean, I said it early, but I back it.
Don't make me. And no, you didn't leave. You left Jonathan Osorio off.
No, I put him on.
No, you left him off. I put him on. We'll have to review.
What? No, I put him on. I left Josie off, and you yelled at me for it.
No. Wrong. We're gonna move on to defenders because I'm not spending that much time trying to remember something about.
All right, fine.
Julian Araujo, LA Galaxy outside back-to-back All-Star games, but this time he was voted in. 16 games, second on the team in key passes and interceptions. Underwhelming. Jacob Glesnes, a replacement for Alexander Cayens, injured. First career MLS All-Star game, 3rd season. Philadelphia has given up like 6 goals all year, so obviously this is a good. It was between him or Elliott. Is Elliott already in it? No, it's not. There's one or the other. And he scores goals from 40 yards out, so pick him.
Yeah.
USMNT greatest center back of all time, Aaron Long. Coach's pick, 2nd-time All-Star. Lots of stats here about how good he used to be. Center back returned to action.
No stats about how good he's been this year. I wonder why.
Mainly because he's been really bad.
Yeah. I'm glad you recognize it, though. That's good.
I had to watch them concede 15 goals in like 4 games. Yeah, I recognize it. A really interesting one from Daddy Don. Kamal Miller from Montreal. A pivotal defensive piece on a strong Montreal side, Miller earns his first ever call to the MLS All-Star team in 2022. Canadian international defender, but integral to his club's consistent performance among the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. I'd like to get your thoughts on that one at the end of this. Coaches, yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's pretty interesting, I would say.
Yeah, coaches pick Diego Palacios, again, an LAFC side that's very, very strong in defense, but also really good going forward as well. He leads LAFC in interceptions and key passes this year. Kai Wagner voted in, first outfield player in Philly history to be selected to consecutive All-Star games, leads the Union and ranks 2nd among defenders with 39 key passes, 16 more than his next closest teammate. So when you talk about the play running through him, it really runs through him. USMNT best outside back of all time, DeAndre Yedlin is a coach's pick.
Third selection. Say that one without laughing.
No, that's so bad. 3rd selection, 2013 and 2014. Yeah, there's no stat here that says he should be in there, so I'm going to skip. Walker Zimmerman, an obvious one, even though he's been kind of, Nashville's been kind of subpar. He's obviously defender of the year back-to-back, 22-game home unbeaten run last year. He's the GOAT. Defenders are a bit sketchy, I'm not going to lie. I think there are 2, maybe 3 players in there. I'm like, yeah, probably. The rest, I'm not too sure about. So we hinted at it. Julian Araujo for an LA side that's been good, not great. Better going forward than anything at all But I'm not heartbroken by it. An LA Galaxy side that's its ninth right now. You could say he's the best of the bunch, but first of all, he's not. Second of all, they've conceded just as many as they scored, so he's not doing as great as he probably should be. Gleesnes, I have no problem with. Aaron Long, I mentioned it. I think this pick was done before the Red Bull collapse. So to be fair to him, Red Bull were one of the best defensive teams in the league up until about 2 weeks ago when they just forgot how to defend and shipped 5 goals in back-to-back games. So some work to be done there. So I understand why he's here. They were part of a very, very good defense in the beginning of the year to me. And then they kind of just started falling off. We'll see what happens. Kamal Miller is an interesting one to me. Third place, they've conceded 39 goals, which is second most of all teams in the playoff spot right now. So that's not great. I don't love it. I feel like this was more of a we have to get a Montreal player in here because Brandon Vasquez. Because Jordy's been hurt and we can't get him in. Feel like it's kind of forced. I don't love it. Diego Palacios, I'm okay with. Ty Wagner, I'm okay with. DeAndre Yedlin. Ew. I'm just going to leave it at that. Are we kidding? We're going to talk about who we'd replace. And I've got about 90 players, including myself, that I'd replace him with. And Walker Zimmerman, I'm okay with. Am I wrong in any of this?
No, I think that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking. I think Araujo gets in on name. I don't think he's had an all-star type season. Long, I do agree with you. I think a lot of people are going to harp on the recency bias of Long, but when they had made the selections, I think it was pretty valid to go with Long there. I like Palacios. I like Walker Zimmerman. Kai Wagner. I like that. Yeah, Kamal Miller, I'm not a fan of. Sorry, Patrick.
So yeah, we're gonna get called out for that, but that's okay.
I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, they've conceded 39 goals. They've conceded more than double what Philadelphia has conceded on the year. I just think that there were other options that you can go with over Kamal Miller. But I kind of agree with you. I think it was like, let's make sure that we get. Is he the only Canadian player in there? Oh no, Dane's in there. He's like, let's make sure we get someone from Montreal because they're like third in the league and have nobody here.
I would have taken Jack. I would have taken Jack Elliott over him. I mean, I know we already have somebody in there from there, but
I mean, there's a few names. We'll go over it later, but yeah, there's certainly a few names I'd go with over Kamal Miller. And then DeAndre Yedlin is a great one.
That's one way to put it.
That is strictly for the fact that it's just his name. Like, he has not done anything to deserve to be an all-star, in my opinion.
Bro, Boris Sekulic is better than him.
Yeah, that's not a great one. And that's a coach's pick, too. It's not even like the fans voted him in.
I know.
It sucks that Kyans couldn't play in this, though, because Kyans is just like defender of the year right now, and he's not even going to be at the all-star game.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not heartbroken over it, so.
Yeah, of course you're not, because you're a hater. But glad to see Gleesnes in there. I hope he hits a banger and wins the game for us.
If I never have to watch that goal ever again, I'll be in there.
I will send it to you as soon as this is over.
I'm going to send the one that he scored against you just to rub it in.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Then we finally will move on to the goalkeepers. Just 3 of them here: Andre Blake, Sean Johnson, Dane St. Clair. I'm okay with 2 of the 3 of them. I don't think Dane St. Clair has been good enough to make it over Brad Stuver, for example. I don't think he's been, and again, we'll talk about some snubs, but I don't think he's been good enough to make it over somebody like, I mean, Brad Stuver's the one, but Ivicic for Portland's been fantastic. I think he probably should be in the conversation. Martin Paez for FC Dallas, one of the reasons that they're doing so well. even Rome. I mean, I'm not going to say Roman Celentano deserves it over him, but he's had a great year. I just not loving it personally.
I I don't disagree with you. I think there was a stretch where he was crushing it,
Yeah,
and
only
then
when he played.
and then I think he kind of cooled down now, and certainly that last game against Colorado was not a great showing for him.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, I don't want to jump into snubs too early, but yeah, I would probably also go with Stuver or Ivacic.
Well, why don't we just transition into it then? We'll reverse it up. We'll go goalkeeper snubs to start, then we'll work through the defense and make it all the way up top. Yeah.
Sure.
So we look at again. We love our friends at Who Scored. Brad Stuver's been fantastic. Looking at an Austin team conceding 19 goals in 24 games. I'm sorry, not 19, 31. I was reading the wrong column there. But still, that is one, two, that's the fourth lowest. Martin Paez, 27. That's the second lowest in the West. And again, you can't touch Philly, but you got Philly and Sean Johnson are 1-2 in goals conceded. You look at Columbus with 26. That's Eloy Room. You look at, and again, defenders have a big part of this, right? But I know you've got a stat somewhere if you prepped it properly. That's going to show.
I was
that's
just pulling that up.
That's going to show that Dane St. Clair has like 900 expected goals saved above whatever. I don't care, but I just think there are better people in there. Like I said, if I had to talk snubs properly, Martin Paez, Brad Stuver. I'm going to go Eloy Room. And if I had to pick one more, Carlos Coronel, fight me.
All right, I'll fight you. If you were curious as to who was the highest in that stat,
I'm really not, but I know you're going to tell me anyway.
It's Brad Stuver.
Thank you. I agree with you. Good stat, Connor. Way to bring it in.
Yeah, and third is Ivacic. So,
like I said, either of them can be in there, and I know Portland is not like the best of the best in not conceding. They're 37 goals conceded, which is unnaturally high. But like I said, I think Martin Paez, I think Brad Stuver both deserve shouts over Dayton.
Yeah, I mean, not to ruin your parade here, but Dane is fourth on that stat as well, so he's pretty high up there.
He made like 900 saves against Red Bull. That's the only reason why. You take that Red Bull game out, I guarantee you he's bottom of the list.
I want to know if I can find it on
I wish you would, because it was unbelievable what he did in 1 week. In 1 week, he probably sat up the top of the charts forever. It was silly.
I'll see if I can find it, but I agree with you on the snubs. I would go Ivacic or Stuver, and it's really unfortunate that he hasn't had more time yet. But Petrovic would be another great shout. But sure. It was too little time for him to get in there.
Sure. Like I said, I think there are a lot of people who probably deserved it over him. Not saying Dane is bad in any sense, but
I think you are saying that.
If we're talking based on merit, listen, am I trying to? Are you insinuating that I'm doing this simply because he's a loon?
Yes.
Well, you're wrong. I'm doing it because the Loons didn't deserve to beat Red Bull, and they did. No, right. If we're going based off of merit and who deserves it, I want to say it is not Dane. Plain and simple. All right, what's separating?
I'm looking for the stat. I'm looking
for
the stat.
While you look, I'm going to move in, and we're going to talk about outside backs who probably deserve better than DeAndre Yedlin. And I have two names that come immediately to mind. Can you guess who they are?
Actually, I just found it. Let me jump in really quick.
Oh gosh.
So the post shot XG in that game against Red Bull, just make sure I'm looking at the right one. Okay. Was 2.8. And obviously they won 1-0. So he got a plus 2.8 in that stat on that game, which is more than half of what his total is for the year. So yes, you are correct in that one game carried a lot of weight in that stat.
Listen, I can't even begin to describe to you how unbelievable that, I mean, like we were putting balls from the 6-yard box into the corner, and he's on the other side of the goal, and he magically greatest goalkeeping performance I've ever seen. Killed me, but greatest performance. Moving to outside backs, there are two players that I believe should have gotten in over DeAndre Yedlin, and I'll say
I'm sure it's more than 2. Come on now.
no. These are the first 2 that come to mind.
Okay.
Maybe a third, and John Toll, because we love the mullet.
I'm waiting.
Oh, I was waiting for you to guess.
Oh, I get a guess.
Yeah.
You said 2, maybe 3, right?
Yeah.
Raheem Edwards.
Correct.
Brandon By.
Correct. Oh, you're on the website. You cheater.
What do you mean?
I was hoping you pulled this out of your head, and I'm like, oh wait, you're looking at it.
I honestly, I don't even know if I would have remembered anybody if I didn't pull up the website.
No.
Who's the third that you were possibly thinking?
I would hear shouts for Pedro Santos, or Nathan.
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed. Would have been your
either of those. So 2 left backs, 2 right backs, I think probably on merit deserve to be there.
Yeah, I think personally for me, I'd go Raheem Edwards. I just think like the fact that he transitioned to a defender this year after like being a striker at some points in his career, I think that's pretty great. And he's been phenomenal for them. So, but I also wouldn't be upset to see Brandon By in there, but certainly any of those guys that we just mentioned over DeAndre Yedlin.
Yeah. Anybody from the center back? By the way, Kamal Miller is the center back we would replace. I think we could agree on that. Kamal Miller is the 31st highest ranked defender in MLS right now.
Yeah.
Yikes. He is very, very close to Jeff Cameron.
Yeah, that was not a great pick.
No.
Sorry, Daddy Down.
Who would you include if you had to pick?
You tell me, is this so one of them I don't think is a hot take. One of them should be Rafael Chicos.
Yes, my boy who's gotten Chicago into 7th place in the East. That is a playoff
he
spot.
Should be in here.
By the way.
I'll say this because I think Chicos should be in there for Kamal Miller. And then this one might be a hot take. And you could tell me what you think. But I think right now, I feel like I would replace Aaron Long and go with Bill Tuiloma.
Wrong.
Of course you're going to say that.
Wrong. It's not a good take.
I back it.
No, I don't care. That's a bad take. You have to remember that Portland have shipped 37 goals, which is, again, the most in the Western Conference in a playoff team, and above 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the 5th worst in the West right now.
Listen,
and he's also only played 16 of the 25 games that they've played.
Yeah, but in those 16 games, he's the 5th highest rated center back in the league.
Yeah, based off of who scored ratings.
Yeah, which is it's the same site that you use.
Gomez Andrade deserves to be there too. Is that what you're going to tell me?
Well, Gomez Andrade has played how many games this season?
16, same amount as Bill Tuiloma, and he's 2nd best out of all center backs with more than 15 appearances.
But does he score goals? Because Bill Tuiloma scores goals.
Nobody likes you.
All right, fine.
I'm
not going to fight too much for Bill Tuiloma. I don't care enough.
Thank you. Love the Chisos shout.
Yeah, he should be in there. Yeah.
Yep. Again, I mentioned it earlier. I'll take Jack Elliott in that group. Him and Gleesness together.
You should put the whole Philly back line.
We
just put them all.
We need to talk about the fact that we know his name is pronounced Glesnes and not Gleesnes. So please don't come for us.
Come on, they got to know that we're joking.
I don't think they do. That's the issue. I don't think they
Who has their name pronounced Gleesneys?
anybody. Um, outside shout
No,
for
you're wrong.
Matt Hedges. Dallas have conceded the second least amount of goals in the West behind LAFC, mainly because Matt Hedges is a goat. I don't think that's terrible. I don't think the Julio Cascante shout is terrible either, with Austin being not great defensively, but not terrible either. They're third least conceded in the West. I think somebody from one of those two teams should have probably made it in. And then you've got NYC did have a center back picked out, but they were hurt. So yeah, those would be the two that I'm thinking of right there. Would be maybe Hedges, maybe Cascante, definitely Elliott, Chisos. 30 goals. Yeah, they're level fourth least. 1, 2, yeah, joint fourth least in the East with Red Bull, and that's not too bad. So I wouldn't mind that either. But I think the major ones probably should be either Hedges. I really would like to see Hedges in there, or Cascante.
Sure.
Good. I'm glad you agree.
I don't agree with you, but that's fine.
Midfielders, I don't have anybody who I'm like, get out. I think, and I know we talked about it a little bit. I think they've been very, very good in the way that they pick these. Like I said, Jonathan Osorio has been a very, very good revelation for TFC since the arrivals of the Italians. MVP candidate Jose Cifuentes, pulling the strings, probably has been pretty good as well. Don't laugh.
I am laughing. It's too late.
I think the biggest snub based off of ability, Pablo Ruiz from RSL has been the engine in the RSL run that they have been on. And I think that is a massive, massive undersight, as well as Daniel Gazdag, the leading scorer for Philly right now. Again, they win every game 1-0. It's usually his name on the score sheet. He's been great for Philly, 26-year-old Hungarian, but I definitely think he's been a snub. Him and Ruiz are my top two in the central midfield role. Yeah, it's kind of the two that I'm hanging my hat on right now, and then Osorio as well.
I would personally swap out Heel for. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody. I'd personally do it for Zelarayan.
Oh my gosh, I missed out on Zelarayan.
Yeah, his numbers haven't been like, top of the MVP conversation this year, but 8 and 10, I think, is better than what Heel's been putting up this year. And it's like a like for like position kind of swap. I hear you on the Ruiz one. I think he's had a very strong year. I don't know who I would swap out for him though.
Like I said, I don't think he missed out because somebody else got in on their name. I think he missed out just because he plays at RSL.
Yeah, I haven't watched enough Columbus to know if Nagby should get in over him. But if I were to put in Ruiz, maybe that's the swap I would do, is him for Nagby.
Mm-hmm. I am happy to see that Insigne and Bernadeschi and Crescito didn't make it just because of who they were. Like I said, I'll never forget when Frank Lampard had -2 minutes on the field for NYC and made the All-Star game. That bothered the heck out of me.
It would be pretty funny if Insigne made the All-Star game without having actually played a game at all.
Right. Yeah, so Zelarayan, the reason he didn't show up for my search was because I had it set more than 15 appearances, and he has been kind of in and out of the lineup with his injury. So I understand why he wasn't taken. But again, we know that he can ball. We know that.
He
He's
should be.
got.
If Taxi can get in, Zellerand's played enough games to get in.
I would agree with that. I think that's not a bad shout. Yeah, he's missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 matches, and still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals and 1, 2, 3, 4,
He's
5
got 10
assists.
assists on
This only counts first assists.
yeah, I'm on MLS's website.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
But
him.
again, he and Cucho Hernandez are gonna be shoo-ins next year if they stay healthy. So I think he can be okay with that.
Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned him or not, but another potential swap in is Gazdag for Philly.
Yes, I did mention him. I know you
Okay.
don't listen to me.
No, I don't listen to you. No.
Yeah, he's been running the show for Philly.
What do they consider? I guess wingers are considered attackers, right? They're not considered
Yeah,
midfielders.
I mean I group them in with the attackers.
I think that's how they did it too. So
Yeah.
I guess unless Truisi, I thought he was a winger, unless they're playing him as a attacking mid.
He rolls all the way through it. He came up for me in my midfield search. So
All right. Well, they got Vela Morris in the attackers and Paul Ariola, so
yeah, they have him
the
as an
winger. So
attacking mid, an attacking center mid. That's what they have him as.
okay. Okay.
So yeah, I think again we have some snubs there that probably need more recognition. It'd be great to have like an honorable mentions list on this to see who they considered.
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys definitely. Again, I'm giving my big shot to Pablo Ruiz from RSL. I think if we're talking about the biggest snub based off of pure ability, I think he's absolutely deserving of a spot there.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move in finally to the strikers. I think we talked about it being Jordan Morris, Raul Ruiz-Diaz, the two that we would replace. So a winger and a striker, if you will.
Yeah, so we briefly touched on it before, and then I said that I would wait, but Diego Rubio has quietly had a fantastic season for Colorado.
Correct.
With 11 goals and 6 assists, which is like at least top 10 in, I think, goal contributions, or close to it, if not. I'd personally go him over Ruiz-Diaz. I would also go Jabo over Ruiz-Diaz. I think he's had a quiet, well, I guess it's not been super quiet, but a very strong year. I mean, he's sitting 3 goals off of the Golden Boot right now.
Yeah.
And then Kyoto as well. Strong year. I would personally rather see him in here than Kamal Miller for putting someone from Montreal. I guess if I were to do 2 swaps though, just for those two, like for like, I'd go Diego Rubio, and for a winger, maybe Lewis Morgan.
I'm cool with it. It's wrong.
I gotta think on the wingers more, but
so you kind of took the words right out of my mouth there. If you're gonna pick anybody from Montreal to fill a spot, it's Ramel Kyoto. And he's the winger spot for me. If I'm gonna replace Jordan Morris, Ramel Kyoto is absolutely having his way. Again, Jordy Mihailovic helping him out a ton, but Ramel Kyoto is having a great time. Christian Aranjo, you can't turn your nose at him. Him and Kyoto basically same contribution numbers in the same amount of time. Jabo is my guy. If I'm gonna pick the striker replacement, I mean the dude is the only reason that San Jose are not living in. I mean they are, but like lower than San Jose and lower than DC. It's so criminal that he's doing so well and they can't win games. No, he's been great. I think he definitely deserves some more recognition there. Honorable mention for me, Jesus Jimenez. If the Italians come in 3 months ago, like start of the year, this dude's leading the league in scoring right now. The way that he plays and the way that he works off of all of those star players, this dude is going to be immense by the end of the year. I'd say maybe keep an eye out on him for a late surge to the Golden Boot. But yeah, everybody else is kind of just eh.
If they played him more, Dejan Jovelic would 100% be in this team.
Yeah, that's also another good shout. I mean, I can't believe that he's still not starting.
I know,
but him and Chicharito don't work well like as a two, and Chicharito has done nothing to say you have to take me off. So
I don't know. I would personally be okay with replacing Chicharito in this list. I would be okay if you went Rubio and Jabo for Rui Diaz and Chicharito. I don't have a problem with Chicharito being in here, but I would definitely be okay if you replace them.
Interesting.
He's got 9 goals, 0 assists this season in 1,700 minutes.
I mean, you got Brenner to talk about as well.
Yeah, he was kind of a late bloomer. He had a rough start to the season.
So he's getting involved there.
How did Brandon Vasquez not make this team like outright though?
Because the world hates FCC success. Very simple.
I honestly, the fact that he wasn't there, I can't argue with that.
Yeah. Again, when it's very easy to compare strikers, right? Who's leading the league? Who's leading the goals? Get them in the team, right? Jabo missing out because the team's garbage. Aranjo missing out because he plays like 6 minutes a game.
Well, he's been only scoring like as of late. He also had a rough start.
He kicked off. Daniel Gazdag out because
he's Philly a midfielder.
Nobody knows that Philly's actually playing a game, but they still win 1-0 every time. And then Diego Rubio because Colorado's bad. So your team has to get you into that's not true either because Tacti Fontes made it and DC United's garbage.
I mean, the Galaxy are literally sitting on the same number of points as Colorado, so.
Yeah, but the Galaxy.
Off the logic, Chicharito should not be. I mean, I think this too. Chicharito should not be an all-star, but he's getting an off name.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, that's what this is. The all-star game is just a glorified like marketing event.
You're just realizing that? Well done.
No, I knew that. You don't play a preseason game against like Manchester United for it to not be a marketing ploy.
Yeah, so to sum all of this up, right? I don't think this roster outside of a bunch of defenders and a few strikers and Dane is terrible.
and Dane.
But at the end of the day, right, it doesn't matter. None of it matters.
No, it doesn't matter.
So we'll wrap this up then with the question of the day. Do you remember what it was?
Nope.
Me either.
That's good.
Uh-oh.
How do you forget your question of the day?
Because I came up with it on the spot and forgot about it.
What was it? Was it the question of like if we should be playing against European teams, or was that separate?
Let's make that it, because I can't remember. And we're gonna watch.
Oh, come on, we gotta remember what it is. I'll pause it. Hold on. Let's just end it then.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I can't remember it. I've got no memory, and
I'll remember it in editing, and then I'll play it for us, and we're gonna hate ourselves.
Yeah, it's gonna be something simple. It's gonna be something so simple.
Yeah, definitely.
It had to be something like, is it, what's I don't know.
I can't.
Was it something? Was it something around? Was it something about like? Would you rather play? No, we talked about the European versus European preseason versus League MX All-Stars. Doesn't matter.
I don't think it was that.
All right, we're done. We'll get back to it. Thanks everybody for checking into another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. Hopefully this is the last one that's kind of off schedule, 2-week break type of thing, because we should be getting back up, settled, and into a better rhythm soon. Make sure you go follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. Make sure you're following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok so that we can share clips with you. TikTok will be kicking back off as soon as this goes live. We'll start making more clips of this. And then what else? What am I missing? Nothing.
Nothing.
All right. Connor Stinks. Have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.
Miraculously, we remembered question of the day. Of course,
we're
right
back,
after I hit stop. All right.
We're back for question of the day. The question of the day was revolving Brandon Vasquez to the men's national team. There was a question asked to Paul Arriola about whether he should be included or not. He said 100%. I say to you, Connor, what do you think?
I think on form, he definitely should at least be in the conversation. My only concern with it is just because he hasn't been with the team at all throughout like any of the qualifier. I mean, I don't think Vasquez has been called up. Has he been called up ever?
I believe not. I will double check.
Yeah. So that's my only concern is him having to like learn the system and kind of like transition into the team while doing it at the World Cup, because I think if I remember correctly, there aren't any more like friendly opportunities before the World Cup starts.
Did you hear the story about how the bid from a Liga MX side for Brandon Vasquez was based off of his transfer market value?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so Brandon Vasquez is marketed at $550,000. So they put in a bid of like $500,000 for Brandon Vasquez. And when FCC came back and said $5 million for Brandon Vasquez, they were like, but he's only worth 550. This is what Transfer Market says. And they're like, you're out of your mind if you don't actually watch our league and you think you could buy our players. Get out of here. So that tells you all you need to know about how Liga MX is scouting talent right now. No, I think he has not been called in the men's national team yet, but I do believe that he'd put up a fight. I think right now PFOC is the guy. I think he's going to go in. He's playing on a very good Bundesliga team. He's already got a goal, and he looked good doing it. I watched him play last week. I think he's the guy who's going to get the shirt with Ferreira as the number 2, the sub off the bench. DK just got hurt at West Brom, muscle injury. So you're looking now at who's going to be the third striker on the team. And I don't see any reason why it couldn't be Brandon Vasquez. He is in form, right? We're talking about the Hercules Gomez effect, right? Get playing time, get hot for the World Cup, make the roster as player 28, right? I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. You've got other players that I'm sure, Haji Wright, if he gets off, will be all right. Ricardo Pepi could get on well at Augsburg. Giassi's artist. Josie Altidore now playing in Mexico. I think you're really, that third spot is up for grabs between DK, Pepi, Wright, and Brandon Vasquez. And really, DK being out, it's now between Pepi, Wright, and Vasquez. And I have a feeling it's going to be Pepi because of what we've talked about in the past, familiarity with the system and hype and whatnot. But I do believe that he deserves a shot. So that's just me.
I'm looking. I think Ferreira and PFOC are shoo-ins. So then, I agree with you. I think that third spot's kind of open. One person I would say is like quietly in the conversation also is probably Jabo. I think he's outside chance, but I think he's one goal off of Vasquez. I mean, he should be in the conversation. Just I don't think he's obviously a favorite to get that third spot. But looking through the list, unless I'm missing somebody, I'd definitely give it to Vasquez. I don't think Pepi has done nothing at Augsburg unless he like lights on fire all of a sudden to start the season. I don't see why he should get in. And then Haji we'll just have to see what form he's in. But yeah, I'm on board with going with Vasquez. I think you just go with the hottest striker as your third one outside of
Yeah.
Ferrer and
Right.
Pivot.
Right. Because what are you going to do? Right. You're going to pick on somebody who's not scored a goal in 4 months and just, is supposed to be good. No, you go with the guy who
That's something I feel like Greg would do.
you're not wrong. But at the end of the day, right, you got to look at it. Not, 70 minutes into a game, I'm down by 1. I need a goal to stay in the World Cup. Am I turning to a guy who knows the system but hasn't scored in a billion years? Or am I going with the guy who just everything he touches turns into a goal? And that'll be a conversation as we get closer to November. World Cup content. I can't wait. All right, we did our sign off. You can edit that all up. See you, everybody.